Sorry.
Hey.
Hey. Hi.
Oh, he loves you.
Hi.
For now.
Bruce, you're a goober.
Bruce.
Oh, Sophia blocked it today.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're recording. So you can tell us all about it after.
Story time.
Story time. Okay. Hey, doggy. Shh.
Bruce, killing us.
I know.
Sorry, guys.
Whose dog is this?
Yeah, whose dog is that?
Right.
That's Mallory's dog.
That's what I was saying about kids double dipping.
Mallory's
The
dog?
same with dogs. Whose dog is that? You didn't teach your dog to behave?
Who taught them that trick?
Right. Okay. So let's start this. Welcome to the Broadcast Brothers. I'm Justin Faye Songo.
Joe Naholava.
That's right. And today we have a very special guest from the north. We're going to start this off the right way.
Oh, yeah? She flew south for the winter.
Flew south for the winter. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pride of Parry Sound, the killer from Colona, Puakea team rider, and Puakea accredited coach, Leanne Stanley, everybody.
Let's go.
Pretty good, huh?
You guys are killing me. That's awesome.
Let's go.
I feel like the one thing I did want to say was the Stanley Edge. Mm-hmm. That is like, I was just like, man, this is like the best like coined phrase. It's like one of the best. I mean, it would fit in with like the WWF as a finishing move, right? Like the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah.
The Stanley Edge.
Hey, you better copyright it now before the Stanley Cups take over.
Oh my God.
It's almost as big.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Huh.
You do know that there's like a hockey Stanley Cup, and so whenever
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
thing started, I was just like, "What the heck is this?" Of course, it's like it's not hockey time.
Yeah.
It's not the spring.
Right.
Yeah. My brain still goes to hockey too when
same.
people talk about Stanley Cups.
Well, welcome to Southern California.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome back to Southern California, actually.
Yeah, this is becoming a routine trip in January for me.
And we were down here for a couple races, some coaching, and give us a rundown on your timeline when you came, or how long you've been down, and what your plan is for the next couple of weeks.
I left a little over a week and a half ago, and kind of worked my way down from Colona. Had a nice stop in the gorge, dodged a blizzard and an ice storm. Had a nice visit with some paddlers there, and then went to Sacramento, and then Sausalito. Had a few days with some paddlers there doing some lessons, and then San Rafael, and then now in Newport. So I've been in Newport it'll be a week tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then I'm here I head down to San Diego tomorrow. I'll be there for the weekend for Hano. And then I'm back up here next week for a week for another camp. And then I'll be in San Diego for the week after that, doing lessons and clinics with clubs. And then I'll start the drive back up to Canada with a bunch of stops along the way in NorCal, all the way up. And then end up in Seattle for a couple clinics up there before I head back to Kelowna.
And before we get deeper into the conversation, how do people find you? Like on social media and stuff like that. Like give them your handles and all that, because we always forget to kind of say it.
Yeah, we're being proactive apparently.
We're starting off at the
Yeah.
the Stanley Edge. So at the Stanley Edge.
I love it.
So that's Stanley with an L-E-Y. Mm-hmm. So the Stanley Cups. Mm-hmm. If you just look at your cup, that's how you spell Stanley.
Mm-hmm. The Stanley Hydro Flask.
You know what we need to do is we need to make you a Stanley Cup with the Stanley Edge on it.
Yeah, I think so too.
And we'll put it right at the edge of the cup. Boom!
So, Leanne, how long have you been paddling?
I started in 1998 in marathon canoe.
Okay.
And I met my first outrigger in 2003.
And you competed on the national or the international level in 2008. Was your first international race, the IVF?
Yes, that was my first world sprints.
And you've been in 9 of the last 10 since then.
I hope you counted because I can't.
I did.
do math.
Finished not better than 4th in every one.
Yes.
And couple sprinkled in with a couple thirds and a couple in a first here and there too, looks like. Yep.
Yes.
So what piqued your interest to get that heavily involved in outrigger canoe paddling?
Outrigger first popped up for me at the U.S. Marathon Nationals in 2003. A lady named Jan Whitaker in New York had outrigger canoes at the U.S. Marathon Nationals at our sprint event. and they had paddlers with disabilities there, and so they needed some able-bodied paddlers to fill the canoe.
Okay.
And so I was like, yeah, let's check this out. Any type of paddling gets me on the water. Let's figure it out. And I just didn't see the canoes again until I moved to Toronto in 2005. And at that point, I had sold my marathon canoe to help with my teacher's college tuition. The year before, so I didn't have a canoe. And so I joined an Outrigger club, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm now familiar with those canoes, I was like, okay, let's join an Outrigger club in Toronto, because I was now living there. And
interesting.
then found my first wave, and
Yeah,
we all know how that goes.
yeah.
Is Toronto's on the Great Lakes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're getting like kind of quote unquote ocean conditions, right?
Yeah.
On the
Oh yeah,
okay.
it gets heavy.
That's good to know. And then was it Toronto Outrigger Canoe Club? What was the canoe club called?
Yeah, it was TOCC, Toronto Outrigger. Yeah.
Okay.
How long did you live in Parry Sound?
Parry Sound all the way through high school.
Oh, okay. So you grew up there.
Born and raised.
Wow.
Home of Bobby
Awesome.
Orr.
Can we? So I don't know. Where's Parry Sound?
2 hours north of Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't that big of a
Like
move.
an hour south of Sudbury.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs.
so you see this.
Have you watched Shoresy? Have you ever seen that show?
No.
Oh my God. Anyways, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Well, I don't
It's
know.
fantastic.
I think we should clear the air here. Put it on the table right now. I don't think so. A lot of people don't really know about Justin's background, right?
Canadian background?
I like it
He's
that
from
way.
the mountain. Justin's got a Canadian background.
He does.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, so you did know?
Yeah, we've
Okay.
connected on that.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of our audience knows that. Your mom's Canadian?
Yeah, from
Right?
Sarnia.
And my wife's mom's Canadian. So
See, that's why,
it's
Whereabouts?
natural born connection.
Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a get out of jail free card. It's like, oh, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
No, you're from Costa Mesa. But I crack up when Justin always taps into his Ferta boys.
Ferta.
He talks in his like hockey.
Oh man, I love it. I
Yeah.
love hockey.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, so we were definitely looking forward to hanging out with you tonight.
Yeah, this is a special one
Yeah,
for
this
me,
is
yeah.
hell yeah. He's
Yeah.
like blushing over here.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
like
stoked.
cheesing. You know?
The oots and the boots are gonna start coming out
No,
soon.
no. Because I was born and raised down here, but I appreciate it. I never ever made fun of my grandparents had a little bit left. They left Canada in the '60s and came to Claremont, Montclair, California, and so anyways, it all kind of went away. My grandfather spoke French, was his primary language, but I never heard him speak French until he got really, really old and like dementia took over, and then all of a sudden he didn't speak English anymore. He just only spoke French.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a trip. Thought he was in the war still. It was really, really crazy. The way the mind works, which you know very well, is so wild. But yeah, we have, a lot of deep ties there. Still got a ton of family back there, which I never get to see or talk to too much. But yeah, love Canada.
What's funny about the Canadian accent is when I first moved to San Francisco, I still kind of carried my pidgin accent, and people thought I was Canadian. I don't know why. It was
Really?
just it's like like
Yeah.
but I guess like it's a in Canadian, but
A.
like
Yep.
we would say like, oh Mina, and people thought I was Canadian. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Anyway, but yeah, we're stoked to have you, Leanne.
So Toronto, you find your first wave,
Yeah.
and you're hooked.
Oh yeah. There was I still dabble in marathon canoe, but it's no.
I was telling Joe when I was looking at a bunch of your race results and stuff like that, because I always look when we have someone on. I just like to see. And besides everything I said about the international races, you've been a dominant paddler in the upper, North America forever. Like as far back as I can go on race, Paddle Guru or whatever. And one of the biggest things that I was telling him, I go, bro, I don't know how she figured out how to surf, because in the gorge you do so well in the gorge. I'm like, how this is interesting stuff, because paddling lakes, which is like that's all I want to do. I love the ocean, don't get me wrong, but we take the canoes every year. We go to Idaho, Montana, and paddling the glacial lakes is like my most favorite thing to do. Yeah, it's just it's like a kind of an island feel in a different kind of world, right? And so how did you get comfortable in moving water?
So with marathon, we did a lot of rivers. So when I first started paddling, there was always a current. And so learning that side of things. But I traveled. So from 2008, I think was my very first trip to Hawaii. And then from then on, it was always trying to get to the ocean as much as I could.
Nice.
And like Toronto, like you said, was on a Great Lake. And so getting outside the breakwater was, that was the favorite thing to do. Let's get out into the messy water as much as we can. And I had an experience, what year would it have been? 1999, I think, in a marathon canoe race. I was in a marathon C1, it was provincials, and I flipped over in the waves. And I made it a point to go, I'm never going to get flipped in the waves in a marathon canoe again. And so I started going out in the waves whenever I could. And so it was kind of like, from then on, it was just like, well, how can I find more waves? How can I have fun with waves?
Yep.
How can I use these waves? And so when I got in the Outrigger, I was just like, these are made for waves.
Yeah. Very cool.
And go from there. And so
you're hard-headed then, like, if you don't get defeated easy, is what you're saying.
No. I'm gonna find a path around
She's
in
adaptable.
through. Let's
I like
figure
it.
this out.
Yeah, right on.
She taps into that Stanley Edge, man.
The Stanley Edge.
The Stanley stubbornness.
It's so great. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what? So you said 03, 05 is when you got into Outrigger?
05 is when I started paddling them regularly.
Okay, what was your OC1 of choice back then? What
My
was,
first OC1?
Yeah, what was your first? I love hearing stories about people's first OC1.
The first OC1 that I raced was a borrowed canoe, and it was a Savage River.
Oh, okay.
So a cockpit
Okay.
OC1.
Okay.
And then my first OC1 that I owned was a Hookie, a V1X.
Cool.
Nice.
The first two that I owned were Hookies.
And that was a canoe of its time back then too, especially here in the continent of the
I
US,
have one here
North
in the
America.
garage still. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
2006 all the way up to 2014. I had Hookies.
Wow. Okay.
And then I went to the AOK.
Okay.
Nice.
And that was, the difference between the two is
Tremendous.
tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So my first trip to the gorge in 2009, I had a Hookie. And then going back in 2015 for the very first gorge, it wasn't called the Downwind Champs at that point.
Right.
But the first gorge event was in the AUK. Was oh yeah,
Nice.
oh yeah. There's a reason I've been back
Yeah,
every year
yeah,
possible
yeah.
since.
Yeah. And what are you paddling now?
I'm in a Volare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I went from the AUK to the Kahele to the Volare.
And is that when you got involved with Phuket Designs? Was it right away with the?
No, I chose the AOK because it was the canoe that felt the most comfortable for me. I demoed all the ones that were available at that point. And then I didn't get involved with Phuket until 2018-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So, learning how to paddle. I know doing river kayak and canoe. Who were the guys that taught you outrigger canoe paddling? And I know now as being a coach, who coached you to get to that level? And along the way, because Canada. Paddling is there. You guys paddle in the craziest weather. Like I always it'll be raining and I'll look outside and like Julie, I don't think I'm gonna paddle today. The weather's like crappy. Then I go online and I go, I probably should go paddle because they're snowing and they're in gloves and it's like
Perspective,
I shouldn't complain about it. But how was the wealth of knowledge that you had at your fingertips up there? Was there a lot? Did you have to go into the United States or to Hawaii to get?
It's a mixed bag. So I was blessed when I first got into marathon canoe. My first coach ever was Gord Cole in Parry Sound, and he's still running kids in Parry Sound. It's amazing what he's built there. And those of us that have gone on, we're all adults now, or trying to be adults. But we were blessed from the very beginning he gave us the fundamentals of paddling and how to feel water and how to find connection to the water and things like that. So when I got into the Outrigger, I already had that feel. And then a gentleman by the name of Lee Barker in Toronto, he was kind of the next step there, where he was able to supply canoes and get people on the water, that kind of thing. And then from there, I was kind of like a lost soul in Toronto. There was not a lot of instruction in Toronto. My second year at the club, they made me coach because I had the most paddling experience, kind of thing. So it was figuring it out from there. And then the first clinic that I did was 2008, and I went to Hawaii to learn. And so that clinic was set up by a Canadian, but like we went down and we worked with, I think we had Jim Fody, and we had I know we got to paddle with Nappy.
Yeah.
Like that was a highlight. There's another paddler that took us out through the Mokes and drove us into a wave so that seat 1 fell back into seat 2, that kind of stuff.
Got pitted.
Yeah. And then over the years, just going back and working with Luke Evslin, that one really stuck with me, and some of the stuff that he said, I still use today. I've done clinics with Kai Bartlett. I've done my first clinic in 2013 was down here with Johnny. And it's just trying to soak up as much as I could with as many paddlers and coaches that I could over the years. And I took a clinic when I was here last year with Stevie. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm I'll move my flight. I was supposed to fly out that day, and then I found out he was running a clinic. I'm game on. I'm there. I want to learn as much as I can. And then one of the years that we were over in Tahiti for whether it was distance or sprints, I can't remember, 2017 or 2018, was Timatoa. We had the chance to go out with him in V1s, and I'm heck yeah. Trying to soak up as much as I can, so as much as I can learn. And now that I'm blessed to have the Puakia team, it's anytime I can go out and train out of Outrigger Canoe Club with the guys down there and girls down there, or even being on the water today at camp with Danny and Rylan, and we're all coaching together, and you're just hearing different things and coaching together with other coaches, and you're picking up different things, and you're oh yeah, do I do that? And I learn just as much from coaching as I do from getting coached, and it's phenomenal. And obviously Johnny's been a huge influence on me as well. So the more I get to work with him and partner with him and doing a lot of the camps and clinics that we've done, it's just you pick up more and more and more. And then the odd time he's just did you notice you're doing this? And it's oh, still. But I've been a lone wolf for so long in terms of I've been looked to for the coach. And so any chance that I get to someone else to look at me, it's please give me feedback. Even if it is, why am I blanking on last names? Dave at NAC. Kruger. Yeah. He's just do you know that your top arm's in here? And I'm yeah, thank you. Yeah. But say it.
Old
please.
habits, old habits die hard.
Because it's just our awareness. Unless we see ourselves on video or someone says something to us, we think we're doing something. And
God, it took me. I still do that. Set my arm, and it took me so many years to get it over. It's
stuck inside.
Yeah. I'm just stuck there.
Yeah.
It's just the way we paddled in early 2000s was, like that, and it just, I don't know. It's so hard to break those habits.
Yeah, and we've got some great Canadian influences. My first 2008 sprints, I was coming out of Toronto, and there were two of us that were two of the fastest 6 out of Toronto, and so we paired up with 4 women out of the West, and so we flew across to train with them for the top Canadian team for Sacramento. And so we had the likes of Kamini Jane, who's an Olympic K4 paddler, and so she's a great coach in her own right. She comes down here. She's got Right Angle Performance as her coaching company. She does a lot of dragon boat coaching as well, and some outrigger.
I love all these geometry terms.
Right
angle, edge. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so having her in my canoe in 2008, that was a lot of outrigger technique, because we had to jump into a lot of the athletes 3 of the other athletes were hers, and so we kind of jumped into her technique because I'm following them, because that's what the 3 were doing. And then Cheryl Scribe, who's the top Canadian steersman forever, she's phenomenal, and so she was our steers, and so hearing from her knowledge then, so when I made that team for Sacramento, I was just I need to move west.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
Kind of thing. If I want to grow in the sport of outrigger, I'm not going to grow in Toronto.
Yeah.
I need to go west.
So you guys are journeymen. You just like you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go
kind of similar.
Go where the best is and learn.
Yeah. Coming from San Francisco, which is a city, same thing, right? You're paddling in a city, and you're kind of tapping that ceiling. You're kind of hitting that ceiling, and you just want more. And I'm lucky that my wife is from here. And so it's awesome to be here now.
Paddle with Danny Ching.
To get faster, you got to go where the fastest people are. You got to paddle with people that are better than you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what's interesting hearing you talk about your coaching, Leanne. I can't help but to compare it to Will's pedigree in canoe design. and make, like Will's just been all over, right? He's learned from Luke, from Kamano Composites, from Kai, from all these people.
A lot of absorbing.
A lot of absorbing. It's such an interesting similarity. I know it's two totally different, industries, I guess, but I guess it's still in the canoe industry, but you're teaching and coaching and Will's building and designing. But
I think it applies to anything. If you want it, you're going to do whatever it takes to get it. I mean, that's it.
And you want to see how other people do it. Like, what other approaches are there? So, like, now as a coach, it's like, I want to take a clinic on Sunday because part of it is professional interest. Like, I want to see how are other coaches running their clinics. Yeah. But I'm also, from an athlete perspective, is like, well, what can I learn?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we had this conversation with George and Kayla Kai, and we were talking about paddlers that are different, right? And so, I made the comment that some of my favorite paddlers are the guys that don't live by the rules that we coach by or see or, that we're being told, and they just know how to make the canoe move, right? And so I made the comment that, Corell Jr., I go, the guy, when you watch him paddle, he just looks terrible. But, man, he's faster than shit.
He can feel it.
Kai Bartlett, he's got a really hunched back and he's just over his knees, but, man, he can move the canoe. And, all those guys are great there, and you should look at them because they're doing something different than no one else is doing, but they're just as fast, if not faster, than everybody else. Mm-hmm. So there's always something to take from all these guys,
Well, absolutely. And, like, I always say that to people that I'm coaching is just, like, there's kind of, like, the theory, and then there's what you put into practice because all our bodies are different. All our strengths are different. So it's like, put that paddle bend, apply the pressure, like find the feel. What does it take to move the canoe? Mm-hmm. But, where you're strong within your body and your joint angles are going to be different than everybody else's. So we've got to find out what works for you, what's the best for you, what's going to help you propel that canoe forward with the most efficient way and most powerful way possible.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's the best way to approach it.
And it's such
it's hard to you can't make a cookie cutter description about it.
It's a dynamic sport, right? It's so dynamic.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And especially talking to a lot of women who, this is a huge generalization, but we tend to
Oh, that's okay. We do it all the time.
We tend to overanalyze a lot of things. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
We overanalyze a lot. So it's like, so we get told something by a coach, and it's just like, well, what if I have a long torso and short arms? What if I have a long torso and what are about all these proportions? Because not everybody that sits in a canoe do their hands touch the water.
That's right.
Or like some of them, their hands can touch under the gunnel, and then other people's their hands are still like hitting up by the seat. Like, how do things change? How should that stroke mechanics change for them so that one, they can blend within a six, or when they're in the solo by themselves, how can we make them make that solo go on their own because of their body proportions are different. Than these standard.
Club coaching is tough that way because when you're mixing up canoes and you're trying to see who's this and that, and different body types are really hard to manage.
Personalities.
And, well, that's a whole different thing.
That's another ballgame.
Leave that somewhere else. But coaching to that is really, really tough to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the one thing that you'd like to share as far as like coaching? I mean, you've been coaching for years, right? Let's call it 10 years. Because like, I feel like the sport has changed like in the last 5 years. Yeah. But let's call it 10 years. Leanne coaching 10 years ago from 2014, right? You're on the Ehukai to 2024. What is the biggest difference? Like as far as how you coach or things that you see.
Has technology changed, what you're doing?
Not really technology. Like as soon as you said, what do I coach that's different? I used to coach initiate the stroke with the legs and the hips, and I definitely do not now.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, because like my background as a teacher is just like.
I'm sorry, guys. Hey, you guys.
All good.
Hey, out. Jeez. Sorry.
All good. It's a family show.
I know.
Speaking of teacher.
Yeah. So as a teacher, I taught phys ed and I taught science. And
what age range?
I started out as a high school teacher, but I'm qualified for grades 4 to 12.
Okay.
And so in phys ed, it's just like so many sports initiate from the hips. right?
Yeah.
You think
Right.
about golf, think
Right.
about baseball, think about
Boxing.
hockey, think about
Yeah,
boxing.
everything's-
Like all the power is generated.
everything's
The
lower
hips
body
are
related.
moving, moving 1st. So I was using that principle
Golf.
to apply
Yeah.
to paddling,
Yep.
kind of thing. And then it's just, that's kind of where I was coaching the stroke from there. It was like, okay, initiate with that stroke, and then you can use that built up torque,
Yep.
to unwind.
Yeah. It's like if you rotate this way, your body's going to rotate the other way.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So that's where I was starting from. And then just over time, and then also working with the coaches that I've worked with, it's just like, no, because that causes even more problems than, shifting of the boat and boat run and that kind of
Right.
stuff. And it's like, no, we can apply power, looking at how we're applying power and finding the feel of the water in a different way. And so now my philosophy has kind of shifted quite a bit. And I'm like, nope, think about it in terms of like, okay, you've got the big weight stack of like, if you're thinking about one arm row on the weight stack, it is like, okay, if I'm going to put my body weight on that weight stack and try and do it, am I initiating that pull with my hip first? No, I'm not.
Right.
It's all moving.
It's the contact point. Yeah.
It's all moving together as
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
system.
That was one of the things when last year when Steve was saying, Stevie Boy was saying, he said it a couple times in different ways, but he finishes his stroke with his legs.
His legs, yeah.
Right.
I remember
And I was
that.
like, he was listening to him. I go,
Yeah, he said that in his clinic.
yeah. I'm like, that's the first time I've heard ever. I can understand that, people do it, but it's the first time I've ever heard anybody say it out loud, really. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
you learned something new.
I remember playing with that after that, and I totally
Yeah.
forgot about it.
So
Yeah. I wasn't able to apply it to anything, but
So between 2014 and 2024, when did you make that big adjustment from hips to hands, if you will?
I would have stopped that probably around 2016.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because 2014 I was in a little bit of an off period. 2014, 2015, 2016 I came back in. And yeah, that's probably when I started to refigure things out because I was coming from other paddle sports that I'd spent in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I remember even back in the day, it was always about like setting it with your body, right? And now, and I always, a lot of paddlers, a lot of people think that we row, right? And
I hear that all the time.
yeah, and I know it's kind of similar in the sense that, hey, we're using our full body, right? Of course, it's more dynamic and more transverse. But I always, I think we used to think of pooling, right? And you always say, paddles up, hooky, pool is, hooky. But I think now it's kind of more, it's squeeze. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
I like to use press.
Press. Yeah, same thing, right? It's pressure, force, squeeze. And
It does make a big difference.
Yeah,
the pressure on
totally.
the top hand makes such a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. I used to always like to think
But
of it
again,
as
getting people to actually execute it, it's really hard to do.
And that's where dry land drills come into play.
Yeah, see, I never messed with that.
Getting them to feel it.
Yeah.
Like, what should it feel like? What feeling are you hunting for on
Yeah.
the water? And get them to feel it on land first. So then they're like, okay, well, if you're not feeling that on the water, well, how can we help develop that?
Yeah.
Now that they know what you should feel,
yeah,
then we got to go onto the water
Yeah.
and then help work with drills to develop, okay, how are we going to feel that? But if they don't know the feeling that they're hunting for, then it's just like, just feel it. Well, just feel it. Well, if you don't know what you're feeling for,
Yeah, when I first started coaching Newport Outrigger, and I had Dave and Micah and Bronson and all those guys come down and do a lesson, and I put together money for them, because the guys don't make any money. So I'm like, hey, let's put together money for you guys. Guys, come talk about paddling. And so again, Micah, he's like, yeah. It feels like this. Put your hand out. So I put my hand out, puts the paddle in my hand, and he goes, do you feel that? And I go, bro, this makes no fucking sense to anybody. Like, you're gonna have to learn how to communicate a little bit different. Like, but it was, it was like 10 years ago that we were going through that whole thing, maybe a little bit longer, trying to, that whole kind of change, Johnny had changed the whole way they looked at stuff. And they were, NAC men were dominating at that time. They had that special group that was just really good and really slow stroke rate. And everyone looked at that. And then, Lon Aquila still paddling really high stroke rate because Danny loves killing people with fitness. He's that way. And then,
good at it.
And then, just a couple years back, or within the last couple of years, we see Shell. And Shell's like super slow. And so it's just interesting to watch the evolution and how it just goes back and forth. It's such a cool thing.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's fun to play with the different things. And then you use the different things to show people, you know?
Yeah.
And like we were doing that yesterday, where we were explaining heart rate zones to people and how different things should feel. So if you
Right.
don't have a heart rate monitor,
Oh, wow.
what should zone 1 feel like? What should zone 2 feel like? What
Yeah.
should zone 3 feel like? Zone 4, zone 5.
Right.
And giving examples of like, as we're going, what should these feel like? So if you don't have a heart rate monitor, or if you do have a heart
You
rate
sound
monitor.
like Brent Campbell right now.
Oh, I just
Hey,
saw him.
take it
Oh,
easy.
you did?
Take
Yeah,
it
he was just
easy,
down
man.
at the club.
Take it
What
easy.
heart rate are you in?
Yeah,
What heart rate zone are you in?
What zone?
I'm just kidding.
But there's times where it's just like you're in doing something zone 5. Well, your heart rate's not going to get up there because the piece is too short.
Mm-hmm.
So what should it feel like physically? What should it feel like in the water? What should you feel like physically? What are you going for? That
Perceived
kind
exertion.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting.
I don't know. I got to a point with Newport where it's like there's so many different people, so many different skill levels, and I just focused on being tough. Like you guys are just gonna have to be tough. Like you have to tough it out.
Yeah.
You know, as long as 6 of you guys are doing the same thing, you're gonna be okay. Like you'll be competitive. You're not gonna be the fastest in the water. There might be some times when you might be, but like we got to stop looking at trying to get all these guys that have different skill levels, different fitness levels. Like there's just not enough time in the score season to get a group together like that, especially when you got a group of 100 people and they're mostly recreational guys. Like, you know, it's tough to anchor in that commitment when they got a full-time job and they're doing all this other stuff. It's really tough. You got to really, really want it. But again, like you guys did, if you really want it, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to get it and you're going to be part of it and you're going to learn from it. And then you're going to be what you wanted. And like when you're a small score club or any club anywhere, it's tough to communicate that to people. They just, you know, the commitment's really tough to put into terms for people sometimes.
It is, and that's where the IVF stuff comes into. It makes things quite interesting, is because like at the club level, we can do that development. We can give the foundations of things. We can give people opportunities to grow. And then in Canada, at least, we have the opportunity where those ones that want to take it to the next level can go and try out for our national teams, and they can try out for the elite team,
Yeah.
where they can go with other people that are like them,
Yeah.
that are like, okay,
Yeah.
they're the kind of the better ones from their club, and then, you know, they can go with the other better ones
Yeah.
from their club, and then they can be with people that are like, yeah, let's go, let's try this.
Right, right. They're
That can
motivated
put
the
that
same
time
way.
into it and go,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we're going to get together and train, you know, this bunch of weekends with this coach and that kind of thing to help grow together
Yeah.
and elevate that game even more.
Yeah, there were a couple guys in the club I pushed out of the club purposely, and I told them, I go, look, I can't give you what you want. Go to NAC, go to Lanakila, like go there and you're going to be low on the totem pole. But if you really want it bad enough, you're going to figure out how to step your way
Yeah.
up there.
Climb the ladder.
And,
yeah.
and
That's
you know,
wonderful.
I just can't give it. I just can't give it to you. We're not that kind of club. We're not ever going to be that kind of club. So go, you know.
And we need clubs of all kinds,
Yeah.
right? Because we've got to
there's
cater
fa-
to everybody.
There's farm teams and there's pro teams. I mean, that's just the way it is in any sport.
Yeah.
Right. So I was more than happy to take people that didn't know anything about paddling and throw them in the canoe and teach them the basics. And then when they get that drive to go, I really want to do this, I really want to do that. Okay, here's your next step.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And we need that.
Yeah.
We don't want people, because if people are going into either competitive clubs or those avenues, and then it's just like they either feel not welcome or not good enough or
Right.
get discouraged, then they don't carry on.
Yeah.
And like we don't know who we're losing. Like these could be our amazing volunteers that are next race directors. These could be our
That's
our
right.
next
Yeah.
top paddlers.
Yeah.
Like we need these people.
Yeah. You got to have them.
Hey, so Leanne, so speaking of necessities, right, needing things, you mentioned that you were just kind of assigned the role of being coach, right? Like, all right, you got the most experience here. Like, you're the coach. Here you go, clipboard. At what point,
You
right?
have the loudest voice. You're the coach. That was me. Yeah.
At what point did you start? I mean, I know you have a teaching background, pretty deep teaching background. But
Yeah. Yeah. So high school, you were taught high school kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first teaching job was teaching high school.
Are you still teaching? Are you still teaching now?
I substitute teach right
Okay,
now.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same high school age or
I do all ages, but
Okay.
I won't do elementary school.
really?
No, I kind of cut it off at middle school and
Okay.
up, so grade 6 and up.
Yeah.
yeah,
And like, yeah, me and little kids and I, unless they're my niece or nephew.
yeah.
That's funny because I taught high school auto shop. Did you know that?
No.
The things we learn.
Yeah. So this is part of me not telling anybody my background, but
Yeah.
I was an educator in the ROP program, which I didn't have to have a teaching credential. I started when I was like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. Took an emergency credential test, qualified, and then they put me into, you know, teach and assistant teach and then teach and whatever. And I wanted to be a teacher because I was a history major and religion minor in college. I wanted to teach history.
Yeah.
Because I had a history teacher that was Coach Manzo, who was the best guy on the planet, still is the best guy on the planet, and motivated me to do that. And then I got a taste for teaching. I was like, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm out.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Can't handle these little shitheads.
Personalities, man.
They're only a couple years younger.
Personalities,
They're only a couple years younger than me. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, we're not doing this. I'm out.
So at what point, right, when you in your young coaching tenure, did you kind of hit that switch of like, hey, you know what, like, yeah, I got to sign this, but I actually enjoy this and I could see me carrying this. Like, how was that? What was that process like?
I got my first coaching credential when I was in high school.
Oh wow, okay.
So my
this is
first
before
coaching
paddling.
gig was figure skating.
No
Wow.
way.
Okay. So
So-
you're born to be a coach.
Coaching,
Yeah, I think so.
coaching and teaching, I've known was going to be kind of my thing for a long time. So yeah, I was a figure skater when I was younger, and so coaching the younger figure skaters was kind of my first coaching gig. And then when I was teaching, I was coaching soccer and badminton, and I'd been coaching track and field for a while. By the time I got into coaching paddling.
Crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that was a pretty seamless. You're like, oh yeah, clipboard, I got this.
Yeah, and I already
Hold
had
my beer.
I'd already
Hold
helped
hold my maple syrup.
Yeah.
in the bag.
It's in the bag.
I'd already helped write the Ontario Marathon Canoe Racing Association's
Wow,
instructor's
okay.
manual by this point too.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
I was part of that committee, and I'd already served on their board of directors. And
That's
Yeah.
sweet. Okay.
Here I was for a minute. I'm like, oh yeah, I was a teacher too. Oh yeah, I was a coach too. I felt like I'm here, and then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, and
Leah just climbed the pole over me.
It's not a
So we're done.
competition.
I know. I'm just joking.
but what it sounds like, right? Like, so what it sounds like is the structure. Is
I
a
wrote some
little-
shit too in my day.
in your ROP programs.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
What it sounds like is your or just the sport in general, right? Like paddling, whether if it's canoe paddling or marathon paddling, it's the structure kind of sounds a little different. Like I was actually listening a while ago because you hopped on with Kel and Will about. Was it like about Samoa, right? Was it the IVF? Because you guys were there.
Yeah, I was on there for the Samoa one, and then I was
Yeah.
on the year before for the sprints.
Yeah.
And if I can recall, you guys had a full-on criteria, right, on how to get on the team, how to make the team. But it just sounds like organizationally, right, from like the paddlers to the coaches to whomever is organizing. It sounds like you get some structure.
We try.
Yeah, that's.
We try. I'm a little behind right now, but we try.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's opportunities where we can learn, right, from what you guys are doing.
That's a.
I know because you touched on learning coaching, but it's
Yeah.
like, how do we learn from an organizational standpoint? Like, I don't really know how we organize it here, but do you know like what the difference is between what we're doing and you're doing?
I know that when USA Orca was coming into being, that I was contacted for our Canadian documents, and then I was contacted again to see if I could send the Word documents so that they could be edited instead of the PDFs. And then I know those were used for a little while. I've had conversations throughout the years, like recently, and the last email would have been 3 days ago, about what we do in terms of some of our national team stuff. So there is communication between USA Orca and Cora.
Okay. And is that a new thing? Is that
No.
No, it's
well,
been-
USA Orca is a new thing, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
relatively
okay? Yeah.
in its infant stage. But we're open to sharing everything that we do in Canada. Is it perfect what we're doing? No. Do we still try and improve every cycle that we do? Yes.
Yeah.
Do we think that we've got kind of on the right track? Yeah, I think we're doing okay. Our Samoa our Samoa campaign went fairly
Yes,
well.
it did.
Yeah.
You guys did
It was
fantastic.
fairly, it was
yeah.
fairly
Yep.
successful.
Yep.
So we're working on redoing the selection protocol right now so that we can roll it out within the next 8 weeks so that everybody knows what's expected for our October trials for 2025 for Brazil. Hilo, we're right in the middle of right now. Selections have already happened. We still have a few open spots for club crew teams to come join us. We have a couple open V1 spots for some of our older age categories and our younger age categories that'll race off in April. But I'm a little behind on team communication. I've got a lot of people, sorry guys, that are waiting on some information. The draft is in here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm supposed to do tomorrow. But we'll get there.
That's awesome.
So that leads me into a question too. So do you feel a lot of pressure on yourself because you have represented Canada at the world level, like over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, 2 decades,
whereas,
it
let's say,
sounds like.
yeah, but whereas, like, if you look at the team results through the years, Canada hasn't always been there. The last couple of races, Canada as a team have had teams that have performed very, very well. So, is the race organization leaning on you to say what do we need to do to be better, or?
Not leaning on me. It's a collective.
Okay.
So I've got a great committee. With Cora, we've got our, I don't know what you're calling us, our coaching committee or selecting committee. But there's 5 of us right now that we talk about what are our goals for the campaign, what are we trying to accomplish, and that's how we write the selection, determine what the selection criteria are, and then we look at what's the inclusiveness, like how can we include as many people in
Because
Canada
Canada's
as possible.
huge.
Yes.
It is
Like ginormous.
so
Yes.
like the U.S. is like bulk of our paddlers are on the West Coast, but we
Yeah.
do have a lot of people in
Sure.
the East that are
Yep.
A lot of water back there.
yeah. And then how do we make it fair for them to trial? So this is why we hold our trials in the fall instead of in
For the weather.
March or April.
Yeah, it gives them a spring and a summer to train, and then you guys test
the
them and
whole-
the training
Exactly,
season.
because if we do it in March,
let them peak and then train and then and test them when they peaked. Yeah.
yeah. And so like I wouldn't be able to do this at the committee. Like they're phenomenal. So not all the ideas are mine. They do a lot of the legwork, that kind of thing. It's just I'm kind of the one trying to corral and
Yeah.
do things, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the question was.
I know. No, you answered it perfectly because you answered it perfectly. Like there's a committee and you guys make the decision, but
Yes.
you are influencing what you're looking at and how the performances are and where. No.
Yeah, there's no pressure.
Okay.
It's just like obviously we want to improve on whatever the last campaign did. But we also want to make sure that we're representing our paddlers and everybody's getting a fair shake.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, okay, well, these are all the people that registered for trials, and then 4 months later so and so goes, well, no, I want to participate, and they're a ringer. It's like, well, you didn't participate.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
every opportunity
Right,
to.
right.
Like unless there was a medical exemption or like something happened.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
like I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, but if someone dropped out, that kind of stuff, but you got to participate in the process to be
Yep.
considered in the process.
Good for you guys. That's great.
Yeah,
I think that's the way to do
yeah.
it. We don't do that too much.
Yeah, well, it just sounds like the communication ahead. You have a criteria, right? And it seems to be pretty far in advance, right?
No, and
you
no
have an
excuses.
opportunity,
And that's
Right.
one of
No
the reasons we do
excuses,
it
yeah.
out early
Yeah.
is there's no excuses. So like our race calendars are set in November or at the end of December at our AGM. It's like our trials for the next year, for the 2 years from now, are on that calendar. So people
Right.
have that
They know.
whole year
Yeah.
to plan.
Right.
They can't go, oh, well, I'm going on family vacation.
Yeah.
Well, then you made that choice.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess another good point though.
Wait. Can I ask one more question real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Talking about coaching on the coaching side of it before, because I'm going to start forgetting shit.
Nice.
When Johnny Puakea came to you and made you an accredited coach for him, how did he vet you? Or did you have a resume? You're like, here's my qualifications, and he's like, yes, we're in.
I don't know what went through his mind. I can't speak for him. We did a clinic together in Montreal in 2018.
Oh, okay.
I want to say 2019. He was there, and so I just assisted.
Okay,
And then from there, it just kind of evolved.
that's cool. All right, that's what I was curious about. Yeah, right on. Okay, sorry, Joe.
No worries.
Go
I
ahead,
was well. Before I forget, Gnome just texted me asking if and the reason why I'm bringing this up because is those. Hey Joe, you doing the broadcast for the VA too?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
No.
we just wanted to answer your
Yes,
question
no.
over
Yeah.
over this episode. No,
Yeah.
yes, we are.
Sweet.
Not this weekend, the following weekend.
Good. My mommy and daddy can watch.
And he also
Yeah.
asked about Hano Hano.
Not Hano Hano.
Yeah, not Hano Hano.
And we're not ready for that yet.
Anyway,
But we're gonna start doing them more. Well, Joe's gonna be racing. I'm gonna do it.
I'll be
with guests.
participating.
I'm gonna do guest hosts. Yeah.
I thought of
My plan was to do it with Kelly this year. Kelly and I were gonna do it together, but I just don't have the equipment set up right. We're still working on that. We're trying to fund Starlink and be able to do it right. Because I just hate putting it out there when it's like spotty and whatever. Even though people still love it and they watch it, like I just want a little bit more.
I'm not gonna lie, watching the number one sitting
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kinda-
such FOMO.
Oh,
I was so wanting
Yeah.
to be here.
oh.
Man, I got.
Oh yeah, we could totally tell. Yeah, you were communicating through the live broadcast.
I
Yeah.
was so stoked on the Canadian presence for the first race.
Yeah.
There's more of us. There's gonna
Yeah.
be a
Hey,
couple more coming.
But before we get into
That guy Rob Magus. Like we're like,
hold up,
hold up,
where's this guy?
before we get into the flock and the gaggle, and,
Yeah. Sorry.
I just thought of a good point, versus so if you think about it, right? Like in Canada, the IVF races, right? That's like your guys's Catalina. That's your big races that you have every year, every other year. Where here in California, right? There's there's just more races, and I think people get burnt out, right? On like the Molokai Hoys, the Catalinas, the Iron Champs, and I think because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you guys don't have as many like large scale races up there.
Not anymore.
So you guys are kind of chomping at the
Why
bit.
did that change?
We used to have a race in Gibson's.
Okay.
That ran up until I think the last one was before the pandemic, and just we're not allowed to camp at the park that we used to camp at
okay,
before,
okay.
and just getting
So
canoes
it's a
there,
permitting issue.
and just some stuff with getting canoes there or housing canoes. I know I'm not saying it properly because I don't know all the details, but they can't host that large
Okay.
scale
Yeah.
OC6 race anymore.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that was the race that everybody wanted to go,
Yeah.
and they did it every other year. And so it was
Where
like
was
this-
So it gave people
Gibson's.
plans. Yeah.
Is that on the West Coast?
It's on the West Coast.
Is that where
It's-
like False Creek paddles and all that?
It's a ferry ride away.
Is False Creek still like a good?
Oh, yeah.
They're still like
Yeah,
the
they're big
team.
club.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
They're
cool.
big
I remember
club.
Oh,
them
yeah.
back in the day.
Oh yeah.
They used to come for the Alcatraz.
They're like NAC though. They got multiple different
Okay.
disciplines going on. They're a
Okay.
big organization.
And they're still
yeah.
going.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Still going strong.
I talk like I've been
Okay.
there. I've never been there, but I just know because I've read about it.
And they're like the evolution of False Creek right now. They've got a new I don't know what his title is, program coordinator, but they're working it in so that all their development programs do all the disciplines.
Wow.
So it's not just, you go in, you do sprint or you
Interesting.
do dragon boat or you do outrigger. It's like you do everything to
Okay.
get a flavor of
Really? Really?
everything. And it's just like, it's my dream because that's what I wanted to do with Kelowna Paddle Center kind of thing and have everybody do everything. And it's like, just because getting the feeling of the water from all the different paddle sports
Yeah.
benefits you in everything. So whether
Sure.
it's stand up, and
Yep,
like
yeah.
in Kelowna, we have stand up, surf ski, and outrigger. It's kind of thing. So all those different paddle craft, you're going to get a different feeling, but the feeling of moving yourself through water,
Yeah.
Yeah, you become a waterman.
right?
Right.
You're a waterman.
Hey, slow down. That term's thrown around way too lightly.
So, it would be funny if you bring, in Hawaii, False Creek is false crack. You ever hear the term false crack?
No.
You never heard the term false crack? False crack is, I don't want to promote violence over our episode, but in Hawaii, if you put too much discipline, it turns into false crack.
crack.
That's what I'm just gonna say. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
So, in Colona, I'm saying it right?
Kelowna.
You have a lake there,
Yes.
and you paddle it all the time.
Yes.
And I forget the name of the lake.
Lake Okanagan,
Okanagan. How
like
big
it.
is the lake?
70 miles long.
70 miles.
Oh,
So do you get
wow?
Do you get weather? Do you get wind patterns through there? You do. So that okay. So now I know.
There's
Now I'm
probably
starting
a
to figure it
current
out.
in that then.
There's a little bit of current.
Okay.
Yeah.
70 miles.
How do you say it again? Okanaga?
Okanagan.
Okanagan.
Oh yeah,
Like you knocked your noggin.
that'll really oak your noggin
Yeah.
paddling. Did you ever go the full 70?
We have a race. It hasn't been held in a couple of years, but it's called Length of the Lake. So you
Okay.
start at one end and you go to
Okay.
the other end, and so it's just a little under 70 miles. It's 100 kilometers.
Yeah, okay.
And it's relay, so it's a 5-leg relay. So beach changes,
Nice.
and so yeah,
So is it like
That's so
one? Is it
cool.
like upwind one way, downwind kind of the other?
it depends on what the weather is that day.
Interesting.
So there's been
Okay.
times where the wind's in your favor or it's dead
Yeah,
calm, and then there
okay.
was a year when it was a freaking headwind the whole way.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let's talk about so let's talk about the boys and you. Are there any other Wahine coming for you're the lone
The
Wahine?
soul
Okay.
rep. Yep.
Yeah, just me and the boys.
So
The boys.
the boys.
Boys.
So I think you mentioned there's gonna be a little bit more.
Yeah, so one of our
Coming?
other open men is coming down. He was our junior representative in Samoa.
Nice.
He's now no longer junior. So he's coming down. And then another gentleman is coming down as well. He was on our 40s crew in Samoa. So he'll be down as well. I don't know if he's going to race or not yet.
Okay.
Okay. So there's going to be 6 of you guys or so this go around.
6 of the
Six.
flock.
Yeah, 6 or
What do
7.
you prefer, flock or gaggle?
Gaggle.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you guys just fly
When
regardless.
do they come in? When are they coming into town?
I think the first ones arrive on the 30th.
Oh, so midweek.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nice. All right.
And then the rest of them come.
near the end of the week.
And are they driving or flying?
They're flying.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, as most geese, they
Yeah,
fly
they,
south.
they,
for
they all have
winter.
full-time jobs that, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
can't
So
get-
it sounds like they're
So
borrowing.
I had this grand. I had this
Okay.
grand idea. Okay, about getting all of the Canadians here at the table. And doing a rotating 2 chairs because I have another mic we can set up, and just doing a
let's do it.
like a like a
We'll take our
9-man
teeth out.
change, 9-man
Pull our
change,
teeth out
and cycle guys because I'm just so excited. So we have Leo Monte from Brazil. He's coming next week too. He's going to sit down and do the episode with us.
Nice.
Stevie Boy's going to come back.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how he feels or whatever. You know, he's got a lot of stuff going on, but. So yeah, we've got a full week next week, but I would love to have all you guys come here and go through the circuit. Just
I'll talk to
Totally,
them.
yeah.
I'll find out when they're all getting here.
do like a 20-minute shift change, you know, like the 2
Yeah,
teams.
like hockey, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Do a
Change it
20-minute
up.
line change. 20-minute line
I
change.
only know because of the Mighty Ducks movie.
How long did you figure skate?
That's my hockey.
I figure skated until middle of grade 9.
Did you ever skate in California?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So I
It
grew
was
up
all
in
local.
okay. So I grew up in Lake Arrowhead, Big Bear area up here, and we had the training center up there, and all of the Olympians would come in, and we just get the circuit of these Europeans. We had all of our champions, and they would go up there and train and skate. And anyways, it just when you said that, I was like, man, I wonder if you came down and went up there.
No, I was not that level.
Okay.
I was this tall in grade 9. So
Okay.
no.
Wow.
I was a big girl.
So you were born to coach and paddling
Yeah.
early on. Yeah.
You have a
in
different
ninth
center of
grade-
gravity,
Yeah.
right? You're like
Right.
longer and
So in 9th
A lot
grade,
of leverage.
I busted my ankle playing volleyball, and so I only went back to hockey, not to figure skating.
Got it.
Nice.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Much
so
built for hockey, not figure skating.
we got to start wrapping it up soon. But
I know you got to go pee. I
but
know.
we got to ask you.
So you're here for another week plus, right?
I'm
Or a
in
week and a half?
California for it'll be about another 2.5 weeks before I
Oh, really?
exit
Oh,
California.
Oh, dude, let's do a second episode
nice.
because
Yeah.
we got to cut this one short.
Okay.
But get Leanne back.
Are we gonna talk about the remember we were talking about the video that we wanted to show her? Should we wait for that?
No, let's do it. Yeah.
Well, before we show you, we got a question for you. So you paddle in Toronto.
I paddled in Toronto. I live in Kelowna now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Wyatt?
Which Wyatt?
Wyatt, the
Swell guy?
Wyatt the steersman
yes,
that
well
ran
done.
over
Yeah, he made the
Swirsky.
video game. So you know who he is.
I know
Okay.
of him. I can't remember if I know him personally. No.
Okay. Well, we'd like to show you something. Can we pull it up?
I think I can do it. Hold on, let me see.
Because I think it was him, and then I think it was confirmed that it was him, and because I saw the Canadian, and he used to live in Sausalito, or he used to paddle in the bay too.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Sausalito or one of the if it's too hard to find it, we'll save it for.
I think
next
from
week.
opening up other stuff, I don't know where. I used to be like right on the top, but I don't
Darn
know
it.
where it is.
Oh, in your
Oh,
recents.
darn it!
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's a good cliffhanger then for the next time because.
No, let's just ask. No.
No, we gotta cliffhanger
Yes.
that, and like
Yes.
we gotta get her
Plus, I need you guys.
commentary.
Yes,
She's been
and
listening to our commentary
Oh,
on
yeah, that's
paddling.
true.
I want to hear her commentary on it.
That's true.
Alright.
Plus, I need you guys to
I'm
rest because
intrigued.
you have a big race in 2 days.
Yeah, I also have to pick up Mallory at LAX like now.
Yeah. I don't want you to be late.
Yeah,
I'm 100% of you doing the right thing right now.
100%, always 100%.
Yeah, always.
80-20 too is good.
So before we wrap this up, we've been 1 hour on or so, and we're gonna do. We are.
That's efficient.
Yes.
Oh,
Can you please
we're
commit to coming
efficient
back
today.
for like a second hour?
Yeah, totally.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And we'll do it. That's aside from bringing the boys over, though.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. So we'll set
There's
that up.
so much
for
more to
sure.
talk about.
I know. That's what I know. We
Yeah,
just barely
Leanne
scratched
is
the surface.
awesome.
I know. I'm going to edit
right.
this one up tonight, and I'm going to dump it tomorrow.
Yep.
So it'll be out there.
So again, for our viewers back home, the best way if you need coaching, you need a really good paddling coach to enhance your technique and get that edge.
The
hit up
Stanley Edge.
The Stanley Edge.
Or if you want to be beaten in a WWF match, you're going to get the Stanley Edge, and you're going to sleep for the rest of the night.
Yep.
It's so good. It's the best. I swear to God, it's like the best marketing thing I've ever heard.
Everyone's
in my
either
life.
going to be like
So
really,
good.
really want to train with her or really afraid
yeah,
of her.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the victims of the Stanley Edge out there, I'm sorry.
You mean all the people that beat?
All the paddlers that got dropped by Leanne, the Stanley Edge, you felt it, and now you know what it's like. Sorry. It was just.
Or if you want to get the edge.
Or you want to,
come
yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Or if you
there
wanna
it is.
learn,
Come
you wanna
on.
learn, come on in. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I love your
right on.
willingness to teach. I think that's so great.
It's in my blood.
Well, there's a generation behind us of paddlers that don't teach a lot because they want to hold on to competitive edge.
It's just, we all get better when the more we share,
I agree.
right? We're all going to get
Rising
better.
tides raise all boats.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right? I'd rather raise the
100%.
ceiling and
100%.
raise the
Well,
floor to raise the ceiling.
You
Thank
touched on
you
it
so
earlier.
much.
You learn more the more you teach.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
we need more Leanne
We need
Stanleys
more
in the
Leanne
world.
Stanleys. That's what I mean.
Yep.
So, anyway, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for
We're
having
coming
me.
back.
Yeah,
We're going to do this again. We're going to do
Especially
this
if you
again
bring me
in the next
dinner.
couple
Especially if
weeks.
you give me dinner.
Oh, anytime. What I love about paddlers are so appreciative of the worst shit. Like, is rice and chili okay?
We're always hungry.
yeah. Yes, please.
Game
That sounds
on.
fantastic.
Yeah, man.
I love it. It's like island. You get like island meals, right? Like everyone's good with it. You just cook a
100%,
bunch and just let everyone go.
Yep.
Easy. It's the company that matters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you for coming
Yeah.
by.
And thanks for sharing people's stories.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest
Yeah, we're
thing. Like, love
trying.
watching what
We're
you guys are
trying.
doing and the conversations you're having. Because again, being landlocked up in Canada, we don't get to talk to a
Yeah.
lot of paddlers sometimes, especially those of us that are isolated in communities where we don't have a lot of paddlers sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, so you bringing stories out to the world is so beneficial to people.
Yep.
Joe and I are very, very privileged. I'm very privileged actually to be with Joe and to have this because
I'm very privileged to be with you.
well, you have a lot of connections in the paddling world that I don't have, but I also made my own connections in the paddling world too. So, it's like when we got to talk to Stevie and his brother Kevin, our first episode, I was like, this is so crazy. Our first episode record. Well, we
Yeah.
actually tried recording a couple before that, and we had technical difficulties, and I just scrapped those. And needless to say, but it was one of those things where I was like, man, this is so surreal, and I just happened through Nico, who paddled for me at NAC, or I mean at Newport. He went and paddled in Tahiti and got to know those guys, and so here we are. We're talking to these guys at the table. It's so cool. And then just through meeting people like at the river rate at the ADR, Jim Terrell shows up at the house we're renting one night. I didn't invite him over. He just showed up because someone brought him. And next thing you know, like we're talking all the time. Like he's a great guy. So he's and then we have you and we have all this stuff. But for us, the primary focus is, fortunate as we are to talk to great paddlers and people that are out there. There is a huge percentage of paddlers out there that we're excited to talk to too, that are just everyday people. I mean, they have so many more stories.
And what got them into the sport? What
Right.
keeps them in the
Right.
sport?
Exactly.
Because that's
Yeah.
how we as
Right.
coaches and club leaders can go, okay, well,
You can relate.
Right.
right? And how
Yeah.
can we get more people
Yep.
into it?
Yeah.
If we
Yep.
can know what the
Yeah,
average
perpetuate it.
level
Yeah.
Plus the association of other things like, yeah, I like to do these outdoor things. I like to do those outdoor things. And, it leads in other conversations and, I don't know, areas of the world that, you may be able to paddle and hike and do stuff that you may, I don't know, we may not know about. I don't know.
And we might learn more about your former careers.
I know. Shh. Yeah. We're keeping that secret.
Teaching auto shop. Right.
Did you know about that? No. Sorry. I have a lot of stuff.
7/16. What did you even learn in math?
Yeah. This is America. We do things in fractions. We don't do millimeters. Although every mechanic only does millimeters for the most part because every car has it. But anyways, that's beyond the point. Okay. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We're coming back in a little while, a week or so, to do this again, I hope.
Cool.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.
Same to you. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
wish I had my shit together to broadcast down there, but I'm not going to yet.
I got a quick question too for our viewers, or a request. Yeah, a quick request. Give us a like, especially with Leanne
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
We're in the presence
And
of
subscribe.
coaching greatness. It really supports the channel. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe,
Yep.
all that good stuff.
Any questions
We
on
really
how to
appreciate
connect
it.
with Leanne, we'll help you. We will facilitate that for you, no problem.
Yep.
So please, you guys, be involved.
Absolutely.
We need more people like Leanne.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like
Joe,
you guys.
and me.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Only on Thursdays. Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you.
Aloha.
All right. You. Game on.